Um, I like doing that very much, and I've done a number of collaborations, both with mostly with classical music, but not only, and also with visual artists as well, and of course theater my whole life. But I like doing these collaborations. I've traveled with this conductor and orchestra for 15 years, off and on. We've done three pieces together with Martin Hasselbalch and Michael Stumminger, the writer-director, and also with the Wiener Academy, which is the orchestra. And I've loved it. Um, I, I love hearing the music, and I think these sorts of collaborations are, at least to me, very, very interesting, and I'm really happy that the Rubix Festival brought us here. Well, I suppose I'd say one is religious and one isn't. More couldn't be avoided. Um, the world has changed, obviously, enormously since um, a bunch of kids finished university and started a theater in Chicago in 1976. Most of the change, I would say, is unfortunate for someone who's known. So, um, and of course, that was never my goal. My goal was to do plays, but life took me, which I continued doing, but life took me another direction. I feel very comfortable in the former Yugoslavia and all the regions, and in Eastern Europe, yes, I feel a kinship. I'm also a quarter French and a quarter Scots, so Europe as a whole is a place where I've spent more than half my life and worked more than half my life. So I have a great affinity for it. Um, no, I avoid that, I think. Like to live long enough to see my granddaughter get big, but I'm not much of a dreamer, really. I'm a doer. Oh, who knows? I mean, I won't be able to. We leave for Dubrovnik at 6 a.m., then we go to Madrid, then we go to Gran Canarias, and we resume our tour. So, but I have been here before and stayed here with my wife many years ago now, and also came to visit a couple of places for a different piece previous to that, but um, I don't like to comment too much about a country I don't really know, so I don't think it's useful. Well, that's probably several questions. Art, um, art can possibly, if it's very, very good, change people's lives in a certain way, or certainly change their perspective. As far as Unterweger being rehabilitated, I mean, we always say about this piece that it, it, it has two quite conflicting factors, which one is the necessity of redemption, and that can be redemption for all kinds of acts that one wishes one hadn't have committed. Um, and I'm not sure that includes murder, but I think people probably honestly thought he had was rehabilitated, and but that's I'm not sure serial killers really um, so easy to rehabilitate. Let's say. I'm not much for soapbox projects. Um, and a lot of things people talk about are soapboxes, if you ask me. Um, so I'm not terribly fond of that, and I wouldn't be interested in it, although there are people who do it well, polemics. Um, I'm not very interested in that. I'm interested in human behavior. Um, so yes, I have a lot of different projects. Um, not wildly dissimilar to this project, meaning with musicians and texts, etc. I do a piece called Report on the Blind, which is Schnittke's Concerto for Piano and Strings, combined with part of a novel by Ernesto Sabato. I do a piece called The Music Critic, which opened in Dubrovnik quite some time ago, and which I still do, which is all the worst reviews of all the greatest pieces of music and composers. And then they play the piece, so in the end, time is the judge about that. I do a new piece called The Infamous Ramirez Hoffman. I've done quite a few, and hopefully will continue to. Well, I think the circumstances of any serial killer, probably one is quite different to another. I'm not at all attracted to them. My idea was I thought people would be attracted to them, and I was right.
Yeah, why do you think?
Because the same reason people are afraid of the dark. And serial killers are darkness visible, darkness coming. And of course, some people have an interest in understanding it, these people. But beyond that, I couldn't say. No, not really. I mean, I've always said from the time I was 50 that they'll retire you when it's time to retire. I mean, that's really, again, a decision for the public to make. If they're no longer interested in what you do, what one does, and what one works on, then my feeling is that's the time to not do it anymore. Because, of course, whenever you put something in the public square, of course it can be rejected, disliked, and if you do it often enough, then you also will be rejected and disliked, basically. Some of it. I don't know about movies. They may last a very long time, but immortal is a pretty big word, I think. I don't know, there have been a lot of great movies. I like Battle of Algiers a lot. But I like many lighter things and all kinds of things. I don't know, favorite is hard to say. No expectations. Expectations are a bad idea, I think. I leave that to people and how they respond, but I don't have expectations.